So my name is Raghav Gandhi. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Africa Logistics Properties. I've had a fantastic time here at Flowers and Perishables Logistics Africa. I wish everyone the best. Thank you for your time here. I would say it's all of those things. So I moved to Kenya in 2020, and that's really been part of my journey through the emerging markets. I've enjoyed working across a number of emerging markets for the last 17 years. And I was very keen to be working within Africa at some point. And the fact is that within Africa, I would say that Kenya is an incredible place to be in, to live, to work. People are fantastic. The atmosphere is incredible. The weather is great. And then on top of that, there's so much opportunity from an industry growth, economic growth perspective that was something I wanted to be a part of and see if I could impact it in any way. I think, in terms of technology, what you're finding is quite a burgeoning, still in its infancy, startup scene. There's a lot of, exploration of technology solutions across a different number of industries, whether that be finance, banking, agriculture, horticulture, and perishables. So you can see the youthful population. I know many people know this, but Kenya has a median age of 18 years. And so they're obviously technologically slanted, and that's the way they think about solving problems. And I think that's fantastic for the future of Kenya. In terms of agriculture, perishables, horticulture, I see significant scope. I spoke earlier about how these sectors comprise about 20 to 25% of Kenya's GDP. I think given the fantastic produce that comes out of here at inception, it has the scope to grow even further as a percentage of that GDP, and then also has the scope to make industry players wealthier, better off, farmers, and so forth. And I think it's an incredible opportunity as long as we can try and solve some of those supply chain related issues that are there. I think you find issues right across the supply chain, even starting off, I would say, in terms of yield. I think the yield can definitely be improved to max out how much is produced for every square inch of land. And I think that's something that learnings can be taken from overseas, from more established markets. I think in terms of other parts of the supply chain, just being able to effectively move goods out of the farm into the plates, from supermarkets into the plates, ensuring that everything remains as fresh as possible so that the transit time is reduced is extremely important. There needs to be considerable amount of investment, I think, made into infrastructure. But of course, that's a government-led initiative. As far as we're concerned, where we offer warehousing, I believe strongly that the suppliers need to recognize the importance of working within grade A international quality space. I think that typically they've got accustomed to not really operating out of, let's call it, historical, somewhat run-down facilities. And I think they still need to acknowledge that actually harms their process, harms their produce. Whereas, the types of spaces we offer, it's clean, it's secure, it's climate controlled. It means that, like I said earlier, the produce that they are coming up with remains fresh for much longer. It's a great question. In fact, all our current facilities, we have about 70,000 square meters of space that we're offering, are all green certified. They're certified by the IFC, International Finance Corporation, under their EDGE certification. And in fact, our certification is in the advanced category because we have committed to being net zero as well in the long term. And so for us, responsible corporate citizens of the world, we feel it's extremely important that we do our best to try and minimize the carbon footprint that we ourselves, let's say, contribute. But we hope that the stakeholders that we work with also subscribe to that same ethos. I mean, I think, for us, we have tried to broaden our reach as much as possible through a number of industry associations so that we can attract the SME space. One of our parks in particular is specifically caters towards that sector by offering smaller units, which makes it more affordable for them rather than kind of the large big box type of units that you see in other warehouses. Or, one of the parks offers a minimum size of about 6,000 square feet, which is very much manageable. You can also, if you're slightly bigger, you can combine 2 units, but the minimum unit size is about 600 square meters, which means that it very much caters towards the SME space. So right now, what we actually have is our tenants are operating cold storage within our space. And they're able to find that that works because, like I said, the construction quality that we've adopted reduces the ambient atmosphere. So therefore, for them to refrigerate their own space doesn't require as much energy. So we are able to save their utility bills through the way we've constructed. We are exploring opportunities to offer cold storage facilities ourselves, but what we need to see is a little bit more substantive demand for people to come and want to lease out that cold storage space rather than try to do it themselves. Typically right now, what you see in the market is a tendency towards doing it on your own. And if that's the case, we can do our best, which is to provide the shell and people bring their cold storage units within, but we would be keen to explore providing cold storage facilities because we think we can do it more cost effectively then. My experience at Perishable Logistics Africa was fantastic. Really enjoyed the time here. I didn't appreciate the scale of the conference. Met a lot of people, good business development opportunities, which is typically the case for conferences where you are there to network. But for me personally, given that I have just started in this role, I'm trying to learn more about this sector. I found that the panel discussions, the presentations that were made were extremely knowledge sharing, and I think that was informative, and I think that was very helpful as well. I think I would say that what would help, I think, is trying to bring out more of what the end customer is looking for. What we've seen is a lot of the, let's say, freight cargo operators. I found them getting a lot of airtime. Probably that's they're the ones who are attracted to such a conference. But I think it would be good to have one panel discussion where you bring the customers, the end user, in place and let them share. What are the challenges that they're facing? What is it that they would like to see? Because right now what you have is, people like me who don't know very much positing on what we think the industry wants, but it's always should be customer driven. So I think that would be a fantastic session to hold for next time around.